everybody. Welcome to the third episode of The Protagonist Seat. I am Ian.
And I am Alex, and this is the show where we stare out the window and contemplate just what it means to be an anime protagonist.
What does it mean to be an anime protagonist?
Maybe it means you could be a slime, or maybe it means you're a zombie.
Or maybe you just really fucking hate goblins.
Maybe.
Or maybe you'd want to be super creepy to a vampire who lives in your neighborhood.
Or maybe you want to do sumo.
Or maybe you want to strike strangely homoerotic poses just on the subway.
Yeah, that was the. I think that was the
thing.
That was the gayest pose in all of JoJo thus far.
I watched it and I was like, all right, I know the JoJo pose. This one's a little much. This one, it hit me a little strong.
We should probably get into a format though where we, get to JoJo when it's JoJo's time.
Actually talk with structure and go through lists of things.
And the first on the list, and the first in the order of structure, is that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Real long title, real good
slime.
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 I'm just a slimy guy.
Where we have Goblin Slayer, now we have Goblin Savior.
And, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We went and saved the goblins.
Well, he's gonna save the goblins.
He
agreed to save the goblins.
He's gonna save the goblins from the dire wolves. And he also ate the dragon. Well, he ate the force field that had the dragon in it.
So I'm wondering what that's like for the dragon. Is he just in purgatory right now? Like slime purgatory?
I'm real curious what that's like, because the show just goes over a period of weeks where he gets lost in the cavern.
Yeah,
and
he's there for a long time. I figured, he'll probably figure his way out in a day. Nope.
Yeah. I guess that speaks to either the slowness of his analyze skill or the strength of that force field, because holy crap, he's in there for a while.
Yeah, it is true. He only just learned at the end of episode 1 how to see.
Yeah, that's true. And he gets vocal cords in this episode, so he can actually speak, because he eats a bat.
I enjoyed how the first time he tries to speak, he basically screams at the goblins and scares the crap out of them.
I mean, it's pretty great, because, it makes sense, because he doesn't know how to use his powers yet, but he's still learning, He's got all them weird, crazy monster powers, and he's just using them everywhere.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him in human form yet, like in the opening.
Yeah, I'm a little curious to see who he has to eat to gain human form.
Yeah, that's going to be a little weird if he has to actually eat somebody. Especially someone that looks like that character that he turns into.
I thought when the three adventurers go into the tomb right after he finds the exit.
He was going to eat them.
I saw that girl and I was like, oh no.
This is how that happens.
GG, little girl. But nope.
Another show this season where an adventuring party gets crushed the second they go into a cave.
I know, right? Oh, that would have been so crushing. But nope, they just kind of turn invisible and walk in, and then he leaves. And I don't know if those people will ever come back again, ever, or really what purpose they served in this episode.
Yeah, the girl kind of just noticed him as he left, but that was about it. Didn't he really? They were just, there was some sort of thing that I think left.
Yeah, I
felt a presence leave.
I thought there was a presence near me. And
I sensed a presence.
I sensed a disturbance in the force. But then he meets the goblins.
Yeah, and these are completely different goblins than the other show we talk about.
They are. I compare them to the Overlord goblins.
Yeah.
As soon as he gives the horn to that lady that summons the goblins. They're those guys that are just, they're real chill. They're real chill goblins.
They're just a tribal fantasy race, not the,
not the twisted rape fantasy of Goblin Slayer.
Yeah. And he's gonna save them. I noticed episode 2 didn't have that much going on with it.
Well, I thought that was kind of a theme with most of the episodes this week, is because we've entered that special place in anime that's usually like episodes 2, 3, sometimes it branches out into 4, that I like to call the world building zone, where it's just like, all right, we've introduced you to our characters, now we just need to build the world or some kind of backstory into it and just work with that. So here's how we dump exposition on you. Here's how the world works.
I still enjoyed the episode. I did notice, in terms of how it looked, it was a bit of a downgrade from the first episode.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like they had put a lot of budget into the first episode to sort of hook people in, and then they realized, oh yeah, we have like 12 more episodes to do of this. Do it, please. But, I mean, it doesn't... It's a little disappointing, but it's not entirely surprising, because it's, people want people to watch, so they just put everything into that first episode.
Yeah, I guess it's better to have a good hook rather than,
And as long as the plot is still good and the characters are still enjoyable.
Yeah.
I do.
And I was still enjoying it this week.
Yeah, I do miss Tsundere Dragon Friend.
Yeah, I want him to come back as quickly as possible.
I'm hoping he makes some sort of like dramatic entry in the next episode. But we have
I think that's really all there is to talk about.
Yeah.
Like with that time I got reincarnated as a slime this week, because it wasn't too much going on.
Yeah, and I think the same thing is going to be for the next show on our list, Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer. I don't like goblins. I don't like them.
He doesn't like goblins. You don't like goblins. You don't like them.
Look how big I make my waveform. I got bigger waves than you. I'm a bigger man.
Oh, that's
a pathetic
sad.
waveform.
It makes me sad. My waveforms are always small. I am a beta waveform.
All right, but anyway, with Goblin Slayer, it was mostly a setup episode, but I liked how they were delving deeper into his character.
Yeah.
How something bad happened to him when he was young. His village was attacked by goblins.
Which he gives a very specific reason to someone about why he hates goblins so much. And it totally is not what happened to him at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
And he was made basically a psychopath by this incident, who just can only find... Even he was like, I have fun killing goblins.
Yeah, I've done this for so long that eventually I just started having fun. And it's basically... should we do like the little bit of spoilers? Give them some backstory. Give the people the backstory they crave.
Yeah, it's episode 2, and I'm sure our 10 viewers won't mind.
I think that's a pretty solid standpoint. So basically, Goblin Slayer was still just as taciturn and short-worded as, well, that's kind of redundant, but anyway. He's still as taciturn as a child as he is as an adult. He's just slightly less psychopathic. Basically, he lives with his family and his big sister, and his big sister is goblin raped in front of him, and he watches the goblins soil her and torture her and kill her.
Except you don't really see it like you did with the monk girl in the first episode. It's just kind of implied.
Yeah, in terms of villages being destroyed and people being pillaged, it's very low-key compared to the first episode.
They introduced another character, Cowgirl.
Oh, yeah, Cowgirl, who she has some very impressive assets,
Yep.
That is how I will phrase that.
I'm pretty sure that's why she's named Cowgirl.
You're not wrong.
And they did a little bit with how Guild Girl views Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, I think that was kind of cool. I see potential waifu wars between Guild Woman and Cowgirl. But Goblin Slayer, he doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. He's on this earth to kill goblins, and that's what he's going to do.
That is the only thing he is going to do.
That is literally the only thing we will see Goblin Slayer do.
Unless he can somehow wipe out goblins.
you know, he actually did say at one point that having more work is bad, and having no work would be the ideal situation. So let's watch a man slowly attempt to make himself unemployed.
This man is going to work towards his own unemployment.
He is going to work his way into the poorhouse.
Oh, and we were talking about D&D a lot with it last week.
Oh, yeah.
In the original, well, not in the light novel because, it's a novel, but in the manga adaptation, which came out before the anime. So it goes light novel, manga, anime. In the manga, when the guild girl is signing up priestess and she has her fill out her form, it's a 5e character sheet.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love that. Because, I watch the show and all I can just think is like, how does this compare to Dungeons and Dragons? Oh, almost exactly? Yeah, that tracks.
I'm pretty sure in the light novel, too, as far as I read, their world is basically a game between two gods, which is why in the ending theme you can see a bunch of dice rolling.
That did not help abate my Dungeons and Dragons comparisons, because I was like, hey, rolling a lot of D6s in this outro sequence. But, Priestess has leveled up, so now she gains a new miracle and probably another spell slot. And, it's just a lot of backstory, and then they go and they burn a fortress.
And then we saw another group of adventurers. It was just kind of a subtle thing. We see them go on their mission, and Goblin Slayer chooses to go on the other one because there was 2 goblin missions.
Yeah.
And originally Priestess was like, well, we got to help those guys. And he's like, we can't. We got to go do this one.
Yeah, it's too late.
And they actually succeed, unlike the group from last week, which...
A group of 3
did what a group of 4 could not.
I believe the composition is a wizard, a fighter, and... I
think it was they also had a cleric.
Yeah, cleric. So, that's a pretty solid comp. Oh, now that I think about it, there's another podcast called The Adventure Zone. Season 1 features a fighter, a cleric, and a wizard as the 3 characters.
That is a solid comp.
So, you
got your bases covered.
It's proven solid. You've got the straight DPS from range of a wizard. You've got the healing of a cleric.
I feel like a cleric makes almost any comp solid, though.
Yeah, clerics are real good. That's why I've played 2 of them, because I can pull as much as I want with a cleric.
Yeah, me and Ian play D&D a lot, and Ian is always the cleric because no one else wants to do a support role for the team ever.
No one in any, I would say in our friend group in general, in anything, no one ever plays support, so I pick up support, and then I'm like, this is all right. So I just play support most of the time.
Yeah, you were the guy that gets screwed with the role no one ever wants to do.
And sometimes I even enjoy it. I like playing a cleric because I make playing a cleric fun. Because I have to make playing a cleric fun.
The rest of them are all just damage whores. They just want the biggest damage they can do.
Yeah. Although, now that I think about it, I haven't really healed people too many with our current adventure and my current cleric.
No, you're the one that always needs the healing.
Yeah.
You're the cleric and you're constantly healing yourself.
Because I am always up in people's faces and the DM constantly rolls crit 20s against me.
And I'm always in the back and just fireball.
Fireball is probably one of the best spells in Dungeons and Dragons. But this is not a Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
No, it is an anime podcast, which the anime just kind of takes a lot from Dungeons and Dragons.
It takes a lot from Dungeons and Dragons.
It takes absolutely nothing from Dungeons and Dragons besides, what? Now that I think about it, it takes more than I think. People dress up in it. So there's some weird power stuff going on. Who knows?
There are weird power plays going on.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. However, I'm starting to think that's false. I think he kind of does dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
I don't think he dreams.
I don't think he does either.
With a guy like him where it's just, sarcastic comment.
Yeah, literally constantly. Just, if it's not sarcastic, it's probably not being said by the main character.
I thought this episode was, because last week we gave it a bunch of shit and said step it up.
Yeah.
I feel like it put its foot on the step. It didn't hoist itself up or anything.
No, but it's
showing that it could.
It's that first step.
It could hoist itself up.
They're going for that relationship angle, and it's exactly what I expected, and it wasn't a total pain to watch. It was. I didn't hate it.
All right, but yeah, so her mom shows up this episode, and her mom can't see her or doesn't even remember her either.
Yeah, they her daughter sends her a text to meet up to be like, I'm gonna go back into acting, but I'm not gonna use you as my agent, mother. And then her mom shows up and is like, yeah, I get this. Are you the person who sent this weird text? I mean, I can't even see who it's from. I just know that I needed to make time for it. And both the main character and said bunny girl senpai are like, what?
And he was mad. He's yelling at her, you don't remember your own daughter.
And she's like, I don't have a daughter. And he's like, this whole court's out of order.
And he ends up deciding, hey, let's maybe go to another town to see if people can recognize you. So they spend the whole day and night just going on a train to another town, asking people if they know who her name. I think her name's Mai.
Yeah, Mai Sakurajima, I think.
Sakurajima or
something like that. Well,
it's Mai.
It's Mai. We know it's Mai.
Yeah, he's asking anybody if they know her, and a bunch of people are like, I don't know, until finally he calls one of his friends and asks if he remembers her, and he's like, yeah?
Yeah.
Why are you calling me at 1 o'clock asking that?
Yeah, dude. What?
It's the middle of the night.
Come on, we have school the next morning. And the main character, man, is like, oh. Huh. So there's something about the school that phases into this mystery. I'm not sure what, but we'll find that out probably later.
Mystery school.
Or maybe never. Maybe we'll never figure it out.
Maybe something will happen. Oh yeah, they end up sleeping in the same bed, but nothing happens.
Yeah, it is the most romantic tension I've ever seen ever.
And then I'm sitting there going, these are two high schoolers.
These are two high schoolers.
In a hotel in some other town.
Sleeping right next to each other. One of them, the said bunny girl, Mai, asks, why don't we just kiss? And nothing happens. Even after that, nothing happens.
Yeah, a lot of nothing happening.
A lot of nothing happening. A lot of riding around on the train, asking people if they know who Mai is, and a lot of nothing.
More stuff happened while we were recording this to our audio equipment than what happened in the episode.
There were more plot developments with the audio equipment than happened in Rascal, etc., etc. So let's move on. Let's move on to something a lot better.
Let's move on to the, I think, most fun show of the season so far.
I love this show. Up next, we have Zombie Land Saga. I think this is probably going to be one of my favorites this season.
I was originally worried that the first episode was just going to be that, hey, it's a good first episode, but everything else kind of, it plateaus right there, or it just goes downhill.
And then it just becomes an idle drama. No.
Zombie girl rap battle.
That's, you know what? That's all you need. That's all you should need to watch to start watching this show. You've got episode 1, zombie metal screamo idol girls.
I laughed my ass off on the scene where those guys are following them, trying to hit on them that are rapping.
Yeah.
And then you see the cop shows up. It's the same cop, and he starts rapping.
Oh my god, whoever writes this show is a genius, because it's so funny. The timing is perfect. The jokes are on point. The music is actually kind of good.
I love how ridiculous the opening for it is. They know this show is crazy. This
is exactly what I want out of a show that's going to have a crazy concept. They go right to 11 with it. They're like, we know what this show is, and we're just going to go for it.
the first scene where they're all lined up sitting in the jail cell, and he's trying to make sure they don't want to leave by showing them what happens. So he just plays a reel of zombie movies where the zombies are getting shot, blown up. Like one scene where a dude's sticking a grenade in a zombie's mouth.
There's just a zombie on the ground, and a dude sticks a grenade in its mouth and blows it up. And, okay, Necroducer is one of my favorite characters in anything ever. A, because he's absolutely insane, and B, his voice actor sells it so well. Like, I don't think I've heard a similar performance from someone ever, because I don't even speak Japanese. I could feel this man just being like a condescending dick about things.
Yeah, because he's kind of doing a similar thing to he did Okabe in Steins Gate, so he's doing like his Ocarina voice.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, mystery solved. But like, so good.
I hope they keep the running jokes, like the cop and the fans, the two dudes from the metal place show up. I hope they just go to everything and they keep switching whatever genre of music they're into based on what they last did. Like, I hope they're rap guys now that they heard that.
I want their costumes to stay the same, though. Just because I want that dude to have that weird, like, lightning bolt duct tape to his head or whatever he's got.
Yeah.
And that other dude, he's got the black leathers and the spikes. I see so much potential in these running gags.
That was such a good scene where they start rapping, where originally everything's going to crap, just like how the last show went, where it just seems everything's about to go wrong. And then the biker girl and the main character, I think her name's Sakura, they're fighting.
Yeah.
And they're arguing, and then she just finally loses it. You see them both kind of like bouncing back and forth, like sort of like going back and forth, leaning, and I'm like, are they about to rap battle?
This looks like the start of a rap battle, and it is a rap battle.
And they just do, and then Necroducer starts beatboxing in the corner.
It's so good. Music start. His Anguish is so good. Like, it's
I'll still
so
never
good.
forget when he was Okabe and he was, hey, mister, it's so cool, son of a bitch.
You know, you gotta get
I
some
am
good
mad
English.
scientist.
I love this show so much. It's so good. So you need to watch it. Whoever listens to this podcast, if you take away one thing that's not watch Goblin Slayer or JoJo Part 5, it's watch Zombieland Saga. Breakout hit of the season.
It's the show on this list where every time I finish the episode, I'm sitting there going, I really want the next one to be out. I wish this whole show was already aired so I could just watch the next one.
I'm so anxious.
Because I want to see what genre are they doing next.
Yeah.
I saw in the preview, it looks like there's some scenes in CG in the next one, but I think it might almost be parodying, making like a parody of how a lot of Idol stuff is in CG, and it always looks terrible.
Yeah, I hope that's what they're doing next.
It seems like they're doing a lot of Idol commentary with this stuff too, how the Idol industry like usually treats them like shit. And they're basically zombies that are resurrected just for this guy, just to stick him out there and get famous.
Just so he can become a famous producer and say he's real dead set on saving Saga's idol industry.
Specifically just Saga.
Specifically Saga. I don't know what his deal is. Maybe we'll get more backstory, or maybe we don't need any more backstory. You know, I would be perfectly fine with that.
A little bit of this, and bang!
And bang!
What more do you need to know?
I love this show so much. But I've said that probably about 1,000 times already. So I don't have really anything else to bring up about this one. Do you have anything?
I like the development that's going on with the other girls, how they solved it with the biker chick now, where she originally didn't respect Sakura because she thought she was a weak pushover.
Yeah.
But then after she destroys her in a rap battle.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, the main character's frustration is brought on after the one girl who is still just a brainless zombie falls over and her head pops off.
Oh yeah, and the audience thinks it's all a trick, like a magic trick or something.
Everyone's
and
like,
the old
this
man's
is great.
eating dried squid, and he picks up her head and feeds her the dried squid.
He asks her if she wants some. He has a disembodied girl's head in his hands, and he's like, "Oh, do you want some dried squid?" It's like, again, the writing is amazing. And then the main character just freaks out. She loses her absolute shit about it.
Yeah, she basically goes off yelling at the biker chick how she's saying to her, "Do you want everyone to know we're zombies? Do you even care?"
She screams into the microphone after slapping the zombie girl's head out of her hands.
Like, she loses it on all of them. She even starts dissing the other two girls that tried to run away.
Yeah, because they tried to run away, which is when they met.
Because the two of them those two were previous idols back when they were alive.
Yeah, and they decide, fuck this shit, I'm out. And then that's when they meet Hip Hop Guys and
Hip Hop Cop.
And Hip Hop Cop, and that whole thing develops. And then they go back, and she disses them just by like, and you guys are just standing there off to the side of the stage doing nothing, because even legendary courtesan woman starts playing a shamisen to the hip hop beat, which is great.
Twin-tailed, ponytail.
Yeah, little
girl. I forget what she does. I know she picks up a microphone and gets into it, but I don't think she sings anything.
I think she does maybe some hype man stuff.
Yeah, does some little dance in the background.
She helps. She does her best.
She did her best.
She did her best. Yeah, everything is developing interestingly, whereas all of these characters are so unique in their own right that they're easy enough to distinguish.
I think the biker girl must have died in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
Where she keeps referencing her Tamagotchi.
Oh yeah, she keeps bringing up the fact
man, my Tamagotchi's probably dead.
My Tamagotchi's dead. And then she insults the main character at some point by saying, "Well, your Tamagotchi's probably long dead."
That's an insult that's going to hit her.
It is the deepest cut. It's one that goes directly to the core.
And then the biker chick decides, hey, you know what? Being an idol might not be too bad because I want to take over this whole country, and I'll do it by being an idol.
Yeah, I'm going to be an idol and take over the country now because that makes sense. But I believe that is finally all we have on the topic of the just breakout amazing...
The breakout hit of the season.
10 out of 10. 10 out of spin, even.
Next one up isn't a 10 out of 10, but you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it.
I have quantified this as a personal guilty pleasure.
You know what? That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Miss Vampire Who Lives in My Neighborhood.
Featuring probably the creepiest middle school girl I've ever seen, and it's not the vampire.
I feel bad for the vampire. It's a vampire and then the vampire file.
Yeah. I actually, see, in this episode, she talks to her friend, who I'm gonna go out on a limb and say her friend has a crush on her, just because she's nervous about her friend staying with a guy.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, it's not a guy. What a relief. Oh, you mean she's a vampire?
I actually really liked the friend character. I was worried. I'm like, oh man, I'm probably not going to like this character.
Yeah.
But she played the whole thing so straight man to the whole thing, where she brings her in and she goes, oh, it's not a guy. Yeah, she's a vampire. And she's like, oh, she's a vampire. And then in her mind, she's like, a vampire?
There's a vampire? And she's... as any normal person would be upon learning that one of their best friends is now just... all of a sudden, after 2 days living with a vampire, she's noticeably concerned. And naturally, they decide they want to watch horror movies with the vampire.
No, the main character decides that. Neither of the other two want to watch it.
No.
The main character's friend and Sophie, the vampire, do not want to watch horror movies, but she buys them all anyway.
She gets all these horror movies, and she is the only one enthralled by this, which she just watches stone-faced.
Yeah, she's like, wow, this is pretty scary while munching on chips.
Yeah, look at how scary this movie is. This movie that's totally not The Grudge, or this other movie that is totally not Friday the 13th. Oh yeah, speaking of, in that one, it brings up a moment I thought was enjoyable. Basically, in the movie, dude splashes blood everywhere by slicing a guy, and the vampire freaks out, and the main character looks over, and she's like, oh, she's a scaredy cat too. And then Anne says, that's such a waste of perfectly good food.
Yeah. And then she looks at her and basically realizes, oh, she's weird too.
She's weird too. Just strangely enough, not as weird as my friend.
And they're all scared at night, and they're all basically saying, hey, we should all sleep in the same room. That would be nice. And they all go into the main character's room, and because she's a doll fanatic, just creepy dolls everywhere.
The hall, since it's so dark in here, the hallway can get pretty creepy. Goes into room, is immediately beset upon by hundreds of dolls. Which, for those who might have not experienced this, is probably the most terrifying thing in the dark ever. Dolls are scary.
I don't like dolls in the light.
I don't like dolls. I don't like them.
I remember when my sister was younger, she got an American Girl doll, and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want it near me. I don't want to see it. It does this weird thing where its eyes are always open. If you lay it down, they close, but they're not really closed. It's like a weird squint where it's got...
It's still watching you.
It's still watching. And sometimes they break where one doesn't close while one does.
Oh, God.
So it literally sleeps with one eye open.
I don't like that. I don't like dolls. But I do like Miss Vampire who lives in my neighborhood.
I do too. Oh, I forgot. They sort of have a structure where the show has almost two separate stories in each, it seems.
An A plot and a B plot.
The first part, before they have the sleepover, is when Sophie wants to go and get an autograph from an author of a manga she likes. And while they're going there, it's during the day, so she has to wear a bunch of layers and have an umbrella just to make sure the sunlight doesn't touch her because she's a vampire. And they need to go a bunch of roundabout directions because she doesn't want to go along the river walkway because, vampires don't... Yeah, they don't like running water. She doesn't want to go past one way because there's a church.
Another way, I remember there was a food restaurant that had a lot of garlic that she didn't like. And then one way there's a Shiba Inu with a particular spot pattern on its face, and she's like, that way has the four-eyed dog. We need to go around. But they do make it, and they do collect the signature, because Sophie actually, she has been collecting signatures for 360 years.
Yeah, you find out she's that old, and she has met Edgar Allan Poe.
And has his signature in a book.
Just has it. And you know what? It just says Poe. Just in like a big sans serif font, just right on the cover. Poe. Yeah, you don't think, hey, he was a poet. You think he would have done it in cursive or anything? Nope, just P-O-E, Poe.
He was a poet who has some of the floweriest, like, dark language ever, but his signature is just Poe. In just bland letters, not even in cursive.
I'm assuming that they were just looking at it, and most of the audience is Japanese, so they would just see, oh, it's in English. Yeah, that's the signature. I don't know what that says.
Huh? I wonder what it says. Oh, it probably says Poe. Cool. I don't know how big the works of Edgar Allan Poe are in Japan.
I don't either. I wonder how big he is worldwide, just because...
That's an interesting question.
I feel like he's the go-to for dark poetry. He's like the poster boy of it, if anything.
Yeah, he's got some real good dark short stories, but I think some of them are kind of bland. Because, like, The Fall of the House of Usher, I tried reading once, and I was like, I can't read this.
Every time people used to talk about that when I was in school, everyone would be like, oh, yeah, Edgar Allan Poe, The Fall of the House of Usher. I couldn't help but think of Usher, like, the rapper. like the fall of his house, like like this big drama, like this Shakespearean play about something going wrong in Usher's house.
Well, Edgar Allan Poe was ahead of his time, so
he knew about the coming of Usher before Usher even happened,
and his fall.
Yeah,
so
and his fall.
He's the Nostradamus of classical American poetry. I believe. I don't have anything else. I like this show. It is very solid. I like to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think it's a fun sort of break in the week where it doesn't have any of the drama of the romance shows or doesn't have any, goblins raping people.
I was just about to say the very same thing.
It's just, well, at this point we might end up seeing, the vampire, she's kind of trying to fight off that human with a stick that's living with her.
Yeah. There's no telling where that might go at this point. But it's a good guilty pleasure, a change of pace, and something different. Something that's also very, very different, and also I almost said an American classic. This show is Japanese. It is JoJo Part 5.
JoJo! Did you listen to the ending? The ending theme?
I did, and I was very pleased.
I knew they had the history of always taking like an American or Western song
and making it the ending theme. And you know what? They do not break form.
I wanna freaking you.
And after that one pose with his stand, that theme was a little bit. It gave some weird themes to it.
The whole episode this time was the first 5 minutes of it were Giorno's backstory about how he came to sort of idolize mobsters.
Yeah.
Where, as a kid, his mom didn't give a shit about him, and his stepdad beat him.
Yep. And then he meets a gang member one day because it turns out everyone else is real crappy to him too. But then he saves this gangster by basically telling the people who were hunting him that he went another way. And the gangster is like, I'll never forget what you did. And things start to look up for a little. Yeah,
he basically sets up his life to be a lot better. His stepdad stops beating him.
He gets free ice cream. The bullies reserve him a seat at the movie theater. What else? I think that's pretty much it for the here's how his life has improved type of stuff.
And yeah, then it just kind of cuts to his modern day, and that just was to show, hey, this is why Giorno idolizes gangsters. Yeah. And he wants to be a gang star.
He is going to be the gang star, which is something that made me cringe every time, even though I loved it.
And the whole rest of the episode is just the fight between Giorno and his stand, Golden Experience.
Golden Experience.
And Bruno and his stand, Zipper Man.
Or Sticky Fingers.
Sticky Fingers. Oh yeah, the stupid localization.
Yeah, I really wish they kept a lot of that stuff in the subtitles, even though I really like seeing that the name that they wrote for the subtitles is different than the name that they were actually saying.
I liked in part 3 where some of them were super obvious, where everyone keeps saying Jay Guile and instead Mr. Centerfold.
Mr. Centerfold, Jay Giles. Oh, you mean?
Or Oingo Boingo and Zenyatta Mandata.
Oh no, are my waveforms tiny again? Have we encountered more issues?
No, quick fix. It's all good. Everything's kosher.
After another fix for whatever is happening, we'll work on that. We'll figure out what's going on with that.
And if we don't figure it out, we'll just blend it in seamlessly where you don't even know it's happening.
Yep, we'll stop mentioning it again. So he fights Sticky Fingers, because I'm going to refer to the stands by their Japanese names because they're great.
Sticky fingers.
Sticky fingers.
And yeah, the whole episode is just that fight.
Yeah,
but you know what? That is one of the most entertaining stand battles I think I've seen.
It's
in the
pretty
series
cool.
So far.
We finally get to see what happened. Excuse me. I will try to refrain from clearing my throat into the microphone in the future. We see what happens when Golden Experience punches a person, which basically makes their senses go berserk.
Yeah, his consciousness almost went faster than his body.
It goes so much faster that he's like,
he's basically a ghost.
Your stand is useless because you've made me so much more powerful. And then he tries to punch Geo, but it doesn't work because his fist just flies through. And then he has that reveal moment where he turns around and sees his body moving slowly.
And he just takes the hit, and he loses a tooth, and then Giorno uses the tooth to actually turn, because he can morph things, and he uses the tooth to turn into a fly, which Bruno ends up hitting the fly, which is actually just going to cause him damage.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I always loved about JoJo and the stands is how they use their stands in interesting ways. And they have interesting abilities. It's rarely ever just a straight up, we will punch each other until one of us goes down.
Unless it's, Jotaro.
Unless it's Jotaro. Although Jotaro even has a moment where he does something that isn't just punching something, when he realizes that it's the sun battle, where he realizes that basically the dude who controls the sun has a mirror car.
That was my favorite one, where they're all just laughing, and Joseph's the only one that doesn't get it.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, they've all gone crazy with the heat, and then he just throws a rock through the mirror, and then everything's done.
That was one of my favorite scenes, just because it felt like they were really buddying up in that episode.
Yeah.
Where they all shared that laugh, where they were all thinking to themselves, how could we be so stupid?
How could we be so stupid to not notice something so obvious? Meanwhile, Joseph doesn't notice. And since we see most of that from his perspective, we don't notice either until Jotaro literally points it out. And I'd say that buddy that insanity reaction is up there with the Kakyoin and Death 13 fight.
That was a good one,
too. Where everyone thinks Kakyoin is insane, but Kakyoin is like, I know what's going up. Or maybe I don't.
That was one of the few episodes where I'm like, fuck off, Paul Naraf.
Yeah. Dude pissed me off a lot. But
and he's just trying to save all you idiots.
Yeah, there's no.
But then that was really cool when they all actually get pulled in, and Kakyoin's the only one that has his stand in that world.
Yeah,
and he's just there in the teacup waiting for them.
Yes, I will say Shin Kakyoin, because he looks different. Than he normally does. His color scheme is different. Man, this is such an interesting episode.
And the way this episode ends is basically, after the fight, Giorno realizes Bruno is a good person because he doesn't like how a 13-year-old kid was doing drugs, and they want to stop the bad gangsters and be good gangsters. And
I will join the bad gangsters to work my way up to be the head bad gangster, but then I will turn around and then we will be the good gangsters.
Yeah, he tells Bruno how he is going to be a gang star.
And Bruno is sold. He's like, you got it. You got me, Mr. Geo.
And they got to go, and then he's probably going to beat up some more allies.
Yeah,
potential allies.
He's going to beat up more potential allies within the organization, probably. Or maybe some outside. I don't know.
And then we got a lot of fights. There's going to be a lot of fights. Part 5 is very battle heavy.
Cool. I like the fights. I think they're interesting. And I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. Yeah.
And I think that's all really to say about JoJo this week, since JoJo's going to be long, so there's There's going to be a lot of stuff happening.
We're going to be talking about JoJo for a long time. And this one is more straightforward than anything. So...
The next show to talk about is Double Decker, Doug and Kirill.
Doug and Kirill.
We get to learn more about Comrade Doug and Comrade Kirill and their fight for the proletariat masses.
We must rise up and seize the means of production.
Workers are unstoppable when united.
Workers unite, strike to gain better conditions.
I'm noticing that's kind of a theme of this show.
So far it is being a theme.
It's not super subtle. It's kind of there's a communist message there.
Yeah, I totally see this going just full whole hog. Suddenly it's the rich people who are producing Anthem and giving it to poor people for whatever reason.
I didn't even think about that, but you know what? That's probably what it's going to be.
Keep note of this. We have said this episode, what is it, 2?
3, I think.
2, 3, that we're going in, rich people are producing Anthem. But basically, that is pretty much the rundown of this episode. They actually decide to investigate Anthem. They
end up going with, I forget her name, but Rookie.
Oh, yes. They go with Rookie.
And Kirill buys those donuts because he thinks that'll impress Doug.
Kirill buys a relationships for dummies book to try and make Doug like him more.
Yeah.
And then his landlady is like, here's a coupon. Go buy some donuts. Everyone likes donuts.
And it turns out Rookie is a big foodie.
Yeah. And Kirill, eventually, at the end of the episode, thinks that she likes him, even though she's really like, nah, I just wanted to go to this place with someone. I just like food.
Yeah, she's talking about food the whole time. Well, she's thinking, oh, he wants to bring me to all these places because he likes food too.
Yeah.
Whereas with him, he's like, oh, she wants to go on a date with me. That's so cute.
Another theme of this show, two people who are on very different wavelengths, just not understanding each other in the same situation.
Two people who just...
are kind of dumb.
I notice everyone seems dumb.
Everyone
besides maybe Doug.
Kind of dumb. Even Doug comes across as kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's true. In the first episode, he got stuck in that pipe.
He gets stuck in a pipe. But he does solve the mysteries. So you know what? We got to give him credit where credit is due. Doug is the big main mystery man.
But yeah, the plot of this one, or the Anthem user, is basically they end up finding about this factory where a bunch of workers are striking against the sort of corporate owners running it because they feel they're being neglected. Like one worker doesn't even have enough socks. And then the guy leading the union turns out he's dirty and corrupt.
Yes.
And Kirill's detective Kirill originally thinks they're the good guys.
Yeah, but
But Doug, being Doug, has already figured out this mystery in advance, and he's letting Kirill do things Kirill's way.
He bumps over a sheath of papers that has the season's overarching villain pictured on it.
Yeah, the guy with the colored teeth.
Yeah. He's got like ruby jeweled teeth. He quote unquote vicious air quotes, I will add, accidentally knocks over a sheaf of paper to get the striking leader's attention to it. The union boss's attention to it, just to see if he gets a reaction. And at that point, I was like, no one who watches this really thinks that was an accident, right? Because it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Doug does things on accident.
No, Doug's pretty clever, and he usually solves the mysteries by doing that weird head tap thing with his two fingers where he just like taps his temple.
And you find out that the union boss is basically in cahoots with one of the workers at the factory, and they're using the factory to produce Anthem. Yeah.
And Kirill's intuition says that there's something fishy going on. Which
there is. He doesn't fully hit the bullseye.
his intuition is right, but he's not smart enough to go with it all the way. So he's like, I know something's wrong, but then he just follows the wrong path.
And he did what he did the right thing that Kirill does, where when the dude actually does get transformed into an Anthem monster, he did the distraction.
Yep.
While Doug actually shoots the thing.
Yep. Kirill distracts while Doug shoots.
I feel like that's going to be an overarching theme.
Yeah.
Until in the opening it shows them back-to-back shooting at the guy, and I'm like, that's not how it's going to work.
That's not how it's going to work, ever. Especially because Kirill also gets his gun this episode, and it is basically they give him a lightweight, lower-powered handgun because he has a small frame and low core strength.
Yeah,
because
he keeps wanting to use like the huge rifles, and they keep blasting him back and knocking him over.
Yeah, he gets knocked across the room every time.
And he also gets a purple gun because, again, that is Kirill's color palette. Purple.
Kirill is purple, and he will get things that are purple, and he will be purple.
I wonder if they originally went in, like, they had a bunch of stuff where they already had just a bunch of purple equipment. Or did they look at him and go, all right, we need to just custom order everything in purple. We need to have it purple.
We need to match everything to his hair color. Because he's supposed to be perm, so we need to match everything to his perm.
No, he's buzz cut in this one.
Oh yeah, he's buzz cut now. They have finally accepted that he is no longer perm, but he is buzz cut.
And he does not have a buzz cut.
He does not have a buzz cut. I mean, I guess the back of his hair is a little short, but I don't know. I am not a style expert in any means. But that is episode 3 of Double Decker. I'm still enjoying it.
I am as well.
I like everyone's chemistry. I like how we're slowly getting to become more acquainted with the other characters.
Yeah, because this one it was just basically Rookie.
Yeah. We learned that Rookie is a foodie. She seems like the fresh out of the academy stereotype in those cop dramas.
Yeah, and she's really good at, it seems like, the paperwork aspect of stuff.
She is brains and paperwork and procedure.
And her partner is the sniper chick, Pink.
And I'm excited to see more about the other characters, but I think that'll probably still be a slow-going process that we learn over at least a couple episodes.
And I think we decided we gotta watch Double Decker later in the week. Because
yes.
We basically record an entire week from after the episode airs.
Yes, it comes out on Sundays, and we record on Saturdays. So we'll have to adjust our personal watching schedules for it.
Because by the time we record, it's like, I vaguely remember what happened.
What was that episode?
I guess it doesn't help that the Anthem villains haven't been super strong lately either, that it's like very forgettable.
No, like this week was the like factory manager himself, and he turned into large man, and that was just kind of it.
That was his whole character.
He's fat.
He was fat and had a tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did have a tail. So I believe that is all we have for Double Decker.
Next is Thick Boys.
Oh yeah, thick boys with them thick loins.
Hinomaru Sumo.
More just world building. We're introduced to a lot more characters. They try to recruit.
We are introduced to Wrestling Man.
Yes, who actually shows up in a luchador mask, which I thought was pretty funny.
Basically, in this episode, Hinomaru and I forget the captain.
Yeah,
yeah,
thick loins boy.
Thickest boy.
Thickest boy. This is canon now.
Thickest boy end up trying to recruit people to join the sumo club. But naturally, no one wants to join the sumo club because it's the sumo club.
Yeah, who wants to join the sumo club?
So, as they're out recruiting, Hinomaru meets a guy in a luchador mask.
Turns out he wants to be the best martial artist in the high school and beat everybody in all of the martial arts.
Yeah, he wants to do mixed martial arts, which is why he's not interested in sumo, because he doesn't really see it as something that's worth pursuing, since it's just, mostly pushing. Sumo
is a girly sport, coward, weak man sport type of guy. But oh boy, is he proven wrong in this episode.
Because him and Hinomaru decide to have a... He's basically having a spar thing going on in the middle of the gym where he just lets anyone challenge him.
Yeah.
And Hinomaru decides, hey, sure, I'll fight you, but instead, I'll go by sumo rules and you're allowed to go by wrestling rules. And naturally, wrestling rules have... If he's going by wrestling rules, the other guy has a huge advantage.
Yes.
Because as far as sumo goes, if anything but the palms of your... or the soles of your feet touch the ground, you lose. Whereas in wrestling, you're allowed to get all over the mat.
Yeah, and basically it was if a wrestling man is on his back for more than 1 minute, I believe, or not 1 minute, 10 seconds. No, maybe it was, I don't know, for some determined period of time, either 10 seconds or 1 minute or whatever, then wrestling man loses. And they have a fight, and it's actually kind of interesting because he is using like wrestling moves to try and take him down, but he seems to, our main hero counters each move at every turn.
And the captain mentions how all the moves that the wrestling guy are doing to try to knock him over aren't going to work since no martial arts has more of a solid base than sumo, since sumo is all about not moving.
It is literally a sport that is, I am staying here.
This is staying here.
This is staying here. And Wrestling Man loses because
Yeah, he gives up. He's like, I could still keep going, but I give up. You beat me.
He lost the spirit victory.
And he immediately decides to join the sumo club.
Yeah, because he is so impressed by the sumo man.
We're introduced to a female character, too.
Ah, that's right.
And it turns out she's the delinquent guy's sister.
She is also basically the school beauty queen.
Yeah, and she hates Hinomaru because, I guess...
reasons.
Yeah, maybe because her brother lost, I don't know. But it seems to be something against sumo.
Yeah, she has some weird hang-up that we might not have learned yet.
Let me guess. I'm going to take a wild guess and say their dad was a sumo wrestler.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Because that was I hate sumo because that, sumo destroyed my father or something.
My dad was a sumo wrestler and he got injured in sumo and it destroyed our lives.
And then she got even more mad when she found out her brother, the delinquent dude from episode 1 that Hinomaru beat up, he decides he's going to join the sumo club. Because he doesn't like the fact that he lost, and the only way to get stronger is basically to beat him at his own game.
Yeah, I'm going to get tougher, and I'm going to beat this sumo shrimp at his own game. Good luck with that.
Oh, and then a new character joins kind of out of nowhere. I don't even know his name. I know nothing about him.
He is mentioned once in the first episode, because he actually draws... the main character a map to the correct sumo high school, but it's a very vague and not a very good map. So naturally he ends up back at the high school.
He just shows up out of nowhere and goes, I want to join the sumo club. You've inspired me. But then
oh wait, that was other person.
Yeah.
That one still goes there. There's Thin Child.
Yeah, and then the beauty queen chick sees him and goes, what is he doing here? And they have the similar hair color, so maybe that's the youngest brother.
Maybe.
But the delinquent guy didn't really seem to notice him or make any mention towards him, so...
Well, the delinquent guy does...
Maybe not.
The delinquent guy does look like he is in his 30s. He looks like a grown man.
He is a grown man.
Out of everybody there, I would say probably... thickest boy and youngest boy look like they're in high school, and everyone else just kind of looks older.
The luchador guy, he looks like he looks like he's college age.
Yeah, he doesn't look quite as old as Delinquent
looks early
Man,
20s.
But he looks a little old to be wrestling high school students.
Yeah, no wonder he keeps winning.
He is undefeatable because he's been held back for 13 years. After after youngest boy joins, we get nerdiest boy.
Oh yeah, a dude shows up at the end of the episode, and they ask, "Oh, are you here to join the club?" And he's like, "Yes."
But not as a sumo wrestler.
I'm going to make you all champions, so I guess he's going to be the coach.
He is coach. He is coachest boy.
So I guess if we ever need to refer to him and we don't remember his name, just Coach.
Coach. My friends call me Coach.
This is what Coach told me.
I gotta listen to the inspirational messages that Coach tells me.
And maybe we'll get actual sumoings now instead of him fighting people who are not using the same fighting style.
Instead of here's how sumo is better than this style. I think it would be interesting because so far we've seen him do like one sumo thing with thickest boy and that's it. But I am still kind of enjoying this.
I enjoyed episode 2 a lot more than the first one because the first one I'm like, it's okay. This one,
yeah,
I could see it. It had a lot more charm. I could see that the show's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
I actually like the delinquent character.
Yeah, I think he's interesting.
I like how he was basically just almost depressed after he lost.
Yeah.
Where he's just sitting outside by himself, and then he's falling asleep in class having nightmares about losing to like an Oni.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. He has an actual nightmare because the sumo kid knocked him out in one punch.
No, not even a punch, a palm.
Oh yeah, a palm, an open palm technique because it's sumo. That's what you do. You do your tiger palm technique.
Yeah, no closed fists.
No closed fists.
I liked how he was basically saying to the luchador guy how the worst thing, the reason why it's so, because wrestlers are used to being down on the ground. Sumo wrestlers never want to be on the ground because basically if you're on the ground, that means your opponent is still standing.
And you have lost.
So it's like a big disgrace where you have to look up at them. Whereas with wrestling, if you're on the ground, chances are your opponent is also on the ground, like wrapped around you like a snake.
Yeah, like a sneaky snake.
But I'm enjoying it. I'm liking it.
I'd like to see where it goes.
And since we said we were thinking of doing 10 shows, we have chosen 2 of them to add.
We have chosen 2 of them.
And the first one we've added is The World in Color.
I really like the art style in this show. I think it
is a very pretty show.
It is a pretty show. It is, if you remember in the first episode of the podcast, we mentioned a Granny time travel show.
Yeah, this is Granny time travel.
Granny sends a young witch girl back in time, where it's actually a little bit entertaining because the bus sequence is real weird.
Yeah, it almost makes me wonder if we're going to go back to that. Like any weird magic like that.
I kind of hope so, because I like that kind of magic.
And so it has 2 episodes out so far since we missed the last week of it because we didn't decide to take it until now.
Yes, both on Amazon.
Yep, so the first episode, the main character is in, I forget what year, but I think it's like 60 years in the future.
Yeah, 2074.
Yeah, we'll just say that. She's in the future.
2078,
and
sorry.
The main character, she's very depressed, doesn't care about anything, and she has no color. Vision.
She literally sees the color in grayscale.
Yeah, it's just monochromatic for her.
Yep.
And
they briefly talk that there's something up with the mother. Something happened to the mother, and ever since that, she has sort of been depressed, and there's a lot of like fireworks talk where she talks about fireworks
because there's some kind of festival going on, but she's not into it. And then she meets up with her grandma, and her grandma says to her, "Hey, I want you to go back and hang out with me when I was in high school."
Yeah, and she's like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like a good idea.
And she's like, too late.
See
and
ya.
Just sends her back in time. Also, she doesn't just send her back in time. She sends her back in time into a dude's house.
Yeah, into a random dude's house. Like, she just is in his house all of a sudden. And turns out that causes problems for him because she escapes through a window after losing her earring.
And then a bunch of other students see what's happening and take a cell phone video of it because she's sent back to the year 2018. And they send it to him, and they're like, hey, who's your girlfriend? And he's like, what?
I don't have a girlfriend.
And everybody is on him about it. Even his mom's like,
yeah,
hey, so who's your girlfriend? And he's like, I don't know what's going on. That could have been a burglar.
I felt so bad for this dude because for like 2 days, everyone's like, so who's the girlfriend? And he's just like, I literally have no idea who you're talking about. Who are these strange people in my house?
I found when she goes back in time how casual her ancestors are with it.
Yeah.
Like her grandmother's like mom and grandma and her grandmother's dad. She just goes, they're like, oh, cool. You're my granddaughter's granddaughter. You should stay with us for a bit. That's fine. That's cool. And they're not weirded out by it at all. Like, yeah. Oh, man, time travel magic. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, that's some intense magic right there. You'd have to have a real good mage to do that.
Usually that's only one way, too.
Yeah.
They stress that.
They say that multiple times. Yeah, time magic is irreversible, so we don't know what you're going to do about that. Which, to me, the idea of like, oh, I just sent you back in time against your will, and now you're stuck there, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and the only person that knows is your grandma, who is also 16 at this point in time.
And is in England.
Yeah, is in another country.
Like, across the world. Don't worry, she said she'd be there for a little bit longer, so you can just live with us and, like, I don't know, go to this high school 60 years in the past.
The dad there, I'm just going to call him the dad.
Yeah.
It's not her dad, it's technically her great-granddad.
Yes.
So her great-granddad's like, hey, yeah, you should just go to school. He's not a mage, he's a normal human, but he's super casual about it, because they show her a photo and she's like, oh, that's Granny? And he's like, oh, yeah, she would be technically grandma to you. That's strange to think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, you should go to school.
Yeah, you should probably get going to school. So she does.
I actually felt for her because of how awkward the situation felt. Because you can't do anything about it. You're in a foreign time period. And she goes to school. Everyone's avoiding her. Like the dude who has to share the textbook with her. He's like... Oh,
yeah. It looks like he's forced to share a textbook with a plague victim.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, I guess everyone thinks, because her grandma Kohaku does a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, she's a shit disturber.
So they're all like nervous about her. But even then, she's still a hot girl.
Yeah.
You'd think this dude would be like, yeah, this is my chance to get in good. Instead, just don't lean too close to me.
It's better if we avoid her, right? Yeah.
But then the art club people who she met while climbing out of that dude's window end up becoming her friends.
Because, of course, they're the photography club, because this whole thing is going to be themed around color and visuals and imagery.
Oh, and she makes up with the guy that she snuck out of the house. Like, she was in his house by basically saying it was all Magic's fault.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. But then he asks if she can show him some magic, and that was a really awkward scene because everybody in the school shows up like, "Hey, they're about to do some magic out in the hallway."
Everyone like turns from, "Hey, she does magic. If she's anything like Kohaku, she could like blow up the whiteboard or freeze the pool or something like that," to, "Oh man, the new girl's gonna do magic. We gotta go see the new girl do magic." And
she basically says how she's only gonna make a star, and she just kind of makes a little spark in her hands, and everyone thinks it's like a chemistry thing.
Well, because her family runs that magic shop.
And I guess it's popular where everyone buys weird stuff from there.
Yeah, you can just buy all kinds of dust and shit that does weird stuff. But they just buy, like, star dust, and then she makes a little star, and everyone is just kind of like, hey, that's actually lame.
Yeah.
That is super lame.
And then she ends up going on the roof with the kid, and he's out there drawing again. And I actually really like this scene because the first time you see her see the color on his drawing, it's almost like flies off the thing, and it goes out into the sky and colors and everything.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat, but if it was going to be every time, I felt that would be a little much. The second time it shows her, it's actually a really subtle scene where it's just her looking at it, and you don't even see the drawing. You just see her looking at it, and you just kind of see the color reflect off her eyes.
Yeah,
from
you
looking
see
at
the
it.
shimmering in her eyes.
And it's just quiet, and she just takes it, doesn't say anything, looks at it for like a couple of seconds, and then gives it back to him, and just thanks him.
Yeah, it's
so a well done scene.
Good, and I love the first time they do it because it's just the fish that's in the image just jumps off the page and starts flying around, and as it goes, the whole world is covered in splashes of this. The best way I can think to describe it is like in a French Impressionist painting. It's just, and it looks beautiful. It looks really good. And then it's just kind of over, and she's left standing there in front of him like an idiot.
What are you doing?
Yeah, because this girl looks like a crazy person.
And he gives her back her earring that she left there.
Yeah.
But then after the second time when he shows her on the roof, after he tells her, hey, because she hates magic, but he says, hey, your magic was pretty cool. You should show me again sometime.
Yeah. And then she is seen later practicing magic in the locker room.
Yeah, and one of the dudes from the art club walks by and sees her, and it's late, and she's causing a bunch of sparkles to happen. And I feel like this is going to be one of those shows where it's not going to be a love triangle, it's going to be a love dodecahedron.
You know, it kind of does feel like that.
Because I'm pretty sure that dude who saw that's probably going to be like,
yes.
Hey, this could have been a really simple romance plot between these two characters, but I'm getting me in on that.
But I need in on this complicated icosahedron of love.
I forgot the name of the show, but the PA Works, the studio, did a previous show where, like, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, where it was also something like this, where it was just like a romance show, and it was a complex web. It was just this person likes this person who likes this person, but that person also likes this person, and it just crosses over, and it was just a...
Oh, God.
But,
well,
yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't turn out to be quite that complicated.
I was wondering, imagine if... I'm assuming the grandma knows that, hey, that guy, the guy who draws stuff, that guy is supposed to be the guy she's with because this has already happened before, which is why I'm doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if the last scene in the show is right after the grandma sends her back. She walks up from behind the grandma, and she's been living in this time period as the adult version.
Oh, man.
And the grandma sent the past her back because, she knew that would end up happening because she gets married to that guy, I'm assuming. Because that guy can make her see color.
Yeah. I would say it's either that or she goes back, learns to see color, and sort of develops her own magic abilities more. And then because
I feel like it's going to be one of those things where she's not going to want to go back.
Yeah.
Where she can figure out how, but she'll choose not to.
I kind of hope she does, and it's because I think it would be interesting to have sort of that bittersweet ending where it's like, well, I have to go back, though.
Also, you gotta really think about, you gotta worry about Marty McFlying yourself out of existence.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You could mess stuff up real bad.
But apparently, again, everyone's super nonchalant in the magic household. Like, oh, time magic, that's pretty weird.
People are real chill about time travel. Like, oh, no, it won't cause anything disastrous at any point whatsoever.
Yeah, that's not gonna mess up in any way.
Yeah. I suppose we'll just have to see what goes on, what goes down.
It's a really pretty show, and I'm enjoying it so far. In terms of the two primarily romance shows on here, between Bunny Girl Senpai and this one, I enjoy this one more.
Me too. I like a lot of the characters more. I like the art style way more. I mean, the art style is beautiful. And I think the plot itself has some more interesting directions it can go in. Still, both are sort of probably going to come out straightforward in the end. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, see what happens. And the last show we chose, which was weird because I didn't think I was going to enjoy this.
Me neither.
Which also, this airs on like the same day as Doug and Kirill, so we probably should like push this one ahead. Ulysses, Jeanne d'Arc.
Jeanne
Jeanne d'Arc
meets up with an alchemist, and then they do French war things.
Yeah, basically, this guy, I think it's
Montmorency.
Yeah, Montmorency. He's got his friends. They're real close. They're all in school together.
Nothing will ever separate us.
They won't get separated. Not a war where the other side's using demon magic and stuff. That's not going to happen.
That actually reminds me, I had a real big issue with something one of the teacher characters says during the show. At one point, one of the professors is like, this war started like 78 years ago or something like that. In the future, they'll know this as the 100 Years' War. I had an issue with that.
Like, it's going to go like another...
Yeah, how do you know that?
Couple of years, it's going to hit that 100 mark.
How do you know it's not just going to like end tomorrow and then you'll have the 78 Years' War?
Yeah, and they're not going to call it that.
Yeah.
That'd be a dumb name.
And you can't call it the 100 Years' War after that because that's way too long.
Yeah, and it didn't happen.
Come on, anime. Get it together.
And the main character, he hasn't met Joan of Arc yet. That's in the next episode.
No.
But basically, his teacher is Nicholas Flamel.
Yeah, because of course it is.
And he, the whole time, is like, I'm an old man. I don't know anything what you're talking about this magic stuff.
I sell books. I don't do alchemy. I just sell books.
And they end up getting attacked by some British soldiers in the woods, and one of the girls is really good at fighting, and the rest of them just...
watch.
Yeah. They distract. They do a Kirill.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you've got Montmorency, who knows alchemy, kind of, but he sucks real bad at it.
He basically, he used his alchemy to sort of throw off the British soldiers by, throwing this powder and being like, oh, it's a toxic gas I created.
And they're like, oh my god, won't that get us too? And he turns around and he's like, it's actually just like salt and pepper that I just put in my bag. And he also manages to stop them for a second by... He has what he insists is a philosopher's stone that he found in his parents' storehouse.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there in the back.
And on that, he ends up, at the end of the episode, he ends up using that philosopher's stone and trying to summon something with it, and he summons a fairy out of it.
Asmodeus.
Yeah. And turns out it's been like 7 or 10 years or something.
He ends up summoning Asmodeus because Nicholas Flamel is like, no, I'm not going to teach you freaking dangerous alchemy, you idiot.
I just sell books. That's all I do.
I just sell these books. You want to buy a book or do you want to learn alchemy? So he's like, fine, screw you, Nicholas Flamel. And he takes his weird stone and he's just... goes to teach himself alchemy.
Yep, and he summons a fairy.
He summons a fairy queen, and basically she tells him the way to gain the power of the Philosopher's Stone is by eating it. But if you eat it as it is right now, you'll just die like some kind of chump. So I will teach you how to distill this down to a form where you can ingest it. And basically he does after a long, long time, because again, Montmorency sucks at alchemy.
He is not very good.
He is not good at it. It takes 7 years to get it to that state. But naturally, since any dealings with the Fae, as soon as you get involved with a fairy, time just sort of takes on this weird amorphous form, and just kind of does whatever. And all of a sudden, 7 years have passed, and he's like real lanky. He's like a lanky teenager now.
Yeah, and that's sort of where it leaves off, and now he's gonna go and try to find all his friends.
He needs to find his opie friends.
And he's probably gonna learn that times have changed. They don't want to be friends anymore.
They just want to hang around with their huge fan service boobs.
And he has to go meet Joan of Arc.
Yeah. She'll show up at some point eventually, probably.
I think it's the next episode.
I hope so.
I think I saw in like the preview it's the next episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's because it came out like a week ago.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Because we gotta move that in advance.
There's a little bit of planning that needs to be done.
Gotta take our Sunday shows and watch those on maybe a Wednesday.
Yeah, make them a Wednesday show.
Yeah.
But I'm surprisingly enough, I actually liked it. I was a little bit taken aback by how much I enjoyed the characters and their interactions.
Yeah, I was ready to write this one off.
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. And then you were like, hey, this show is actually okay. And I thought, that's odd. I should watch it. So I did. And I surprisingly enjoyed it. I didn't hate it.
Yep. This is a good season. There are a lot of good shows. Yeah. There's a lot of ones I even like that we didn't pick. Yeah. Just because for our sanity, we're just not going to do more than 10.
Yeah. 10. Because like even 10 is a big limit. But this is a solid season. I think we really lucked out and picked a good season to start with.
The only one I think worth mentioning that we didn't pick is Bookseller Honda-san.
Yeah. Where he's a skeleton who works at a bookstore.
It's just that there's not a lot for us to talk about.
No.
But it's neat. It's basically, what if they made a Adult Swim anime?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It is crazy, and it is retail based.
He just has to sell to foreigners a bunch of porn.
Yeah, selling porn to foreigners. The
Special
anime.
yaoi book.
Oh, that's the one thing I do think is worth mentioning in Honda-san is the English is very good. It is top tier.
He is a very stressed out skeleton, though.
He is turns out being a skeleton at a bookstore is real hard. It's very stressful. But I think that's everything for this week's episode.
I think that is it.
We hope you enjoyed. We will be back again, unless
you never know what could happen.
I mean,
goblins could happen.
Goblins. I don't like them.
I don't like goblins.
I could find out that a vampire lives in my trailer park, and I could move in with her.
We could. What else happened here? You know what? Nothing else. Nothing else on here would be that bad. Like, oh, guy comes over and sumos us.
A dude tries to inspire our souls through sumo.
We quit doing a podcast and just decide to do sumo.
So we become the Hinomaru sumo.
We're just sumo guys now. That's what we're known as.
Well, I suppose it would kind of suck getting launched 60 years into the past.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Because, I don't know, what 60 years from today, what decade?
That would be 1958.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I think we're peak Vietnam War age.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to flee to Canada. I would rather not do that.
Yeah, although to be fair, our name wouldn't be in a draft-like role.
That's true. That would be weird.
Although then people would notice. Actually, you know what would suck? We'd be in the 50s. There'd be like no anime to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we do now.
That's what we do.
That's our thing.
It is our thing. And hopefully that's your thing too.
Because you know what? We're all in these seats.
We're all staring dreamily out the window.
Not all of us, because, there's only so much window space and so many seats. So some of you are kind of looking at the back of the heads of, like, other people who happen to get lucky and get the window seat.
Actually, that's one of the things I did notice about Granny sent me back through time without my consent.
She has the protagonist
seat. She literally sits in the protagonist
seat. How many people do we have sitting in a protagonist seat this season?
I don't...
Actually, we only have 2 shows, really, that have been shown... like, in school.
Yeah.
Because Hinamaru Sumo, they haven't had actual class.
Yeah, no one goes to class. It's all extracurricular activities.
Everyone does club stuff. How's Hinamaru's grades? How is he doing?
Yeah, what's his schooling like?
I think the next episode, though, of Miss Vampire Who Lives in My Neighborhood, they're going to school.
I think that
So we'll see them in school. But, yeah, I think for this week, that's it.
Yep. That's all we got for you. Join us again next time and sit down, stare dreamily out the window, and join us in the protagonist seat.
See you next time.
Always gotta have the last word.